There's spoilers in this review, so please turn the video off if you haven't played Sonic Frontiers yet. Sonic Frontiers, like all Sonic games seem to, has divided fans on whether it's good. Well, it's pretty good. And if you're a fan of the series, you'll be in for a real treat. Sonic Frontiers has a more in-depth story than previous games, and it's a somber one. The series once again travels into the serious, avoiding the comical meta-humor of previous titles for a story that honors the series' legacy while giving characters new depth, and it's quite welcome. Sonic is on his own here, at least in playable terms, but you'll see Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, along with Dr. Eggman, who's been sidelined for the time being, but he plays an important role in the story nonetheless. You have to rescue his friends while exploring 5 islands. These open zones are vast, and you'll be on the hunt for collectibles while fighting bosses and the enemies scattered around. There's a lot to get done here, and if you take your time, most of the islands will take about 3 to 4 hours. By finding the little Cocos on each island, you can use them to level up Sonic's speed and ring count to more easily explore. Be sure not to save these up for later, since the leveling up process is painfully slow and you're forced to sit through an animation. If you find Seeds of Power and Seeds of Defense, as their names imply, it'll make Sonic stronger for his fights against foes. Sonic Frontiers is the first game, sans Sonic the Fighters, to have Sonic brawling with enemies, akin to his appearances in TV shows and movies. Here it feels like you're playing as the Sonic that you see in the cutscenes. They even have the movie boost here, it's a great reference. Accumulate skill points and you'll unlock new attacks. If you're a longtime fan of the series, the controls can be confusing at first, but you'll get used to them, and the game even gives you practice during the loading screens, which is a huge help. Being a series first, it's a good effort, and the different moves and combos are fun to test out in battle. Should you not want to focus on battles, you can go fishing. That's right, Big the Cat shows up and he gives Sonic and those who are averse to battles a way to progress. If you catch bigger fish, you'll get more tokens which you can trade for all the items you can find out in the open zones. These voice memos are really interesting too. It further adds to the series' lore. There's plenty of side quests sprinkled throughout the game as well, and they can be a bit of a challenge, since like the cyberspace levels, they'll restrict Sonic in some way, like removing his boost for example. And so all of this leads to Sonic and how he moves. If you're a longtime fan, you will notice some things are off. Homing attack isn't jump anymore, but you do get the double jump at least. The jump itself? It feels extremely stiff, and you really can't even adjust yourself mid-air. Thankfully, you can adjust Sonic's speed and control in the options, which is a fantastic choice. Initially, I was worried with the default settings, but after cranking everything up, you could really feel like Sonic. Okay, jokes aside, Sonic does control nearly perfectly, and if they just had more momentum and a more comfortable jump akin to Sonic Adventure or even Sonic Lost World, it would be the best. Then we have the cyberspace zones. You need to clear them to get the keys that let you get the Chaos Emeralds. These are fun throwbacks to Sonic's past, but it feels a bit too familiar, especially after Generations and Forces. I would have liked to have seen different backgrounds also aside from Green Hill and Chemical Plant again. Another thing is you'll see a lot of 2D sections here too, and I was a bit surprised to see these. I thought with Frontiers things would feel mostly new, but these seem like remnants of the past games that Sonic Team isn't ready to give up just yet. It feels like a weird clash at times, but because they're designed well and play well for the most part, it's okay. It can be pretty frustrating being locked into the 2D plane in the open zones, but thankfully you can usually find a way out. The real treat at the end of each island is of course the fight with the Titans. Super Sonic is let loose early, and it's pure epic battles from start to finish. Before you get to Super Sonic, you have to get to the top of the giants as normal Sonic as he tries to snag the last Chaos Emerald from them. You really feel their sense of size and scale as you're running up them or face to face with them. It is really cool, and it was one of my favorite parts of this game. These Titans are massive. However, I will say if you level up too much, they can feel a bit easily. I was kind of disappointed with how strong I had gotten by the end of the game that I took on the last one, and it really wasn't that difficult. The final boss is certainly challenging and quite unique, but I think it lacks the spectacle that many people would have expected playing this game. And I'd be remiss to go this long without even mentioning the music, which, of course, is fantastic. There's just no other way to describe it. They did such a good job mixing in that EDM club sound for the cyberspace levels, the orchestra-like music for the open zones, and the awesome vocal themes that just get you super hyped, no pun intended. Before you had to wait until the end to get to that awesome supersonic music, but here it is earlier and you get more of it too. This game should have gotten nominated for its music, but of course it didn't. It's a darn shame. Sonic Frontiers does a fantastic job of honoring the legacy of Sonic in subtle and not so subtle ways. In a way, it feels like the game Sonic team tried to make when they set out to do Sonic Adventure. This is Sonic RPG. You have the level up system, the battles and moves, the side quests, the story, the world-ending bad guy, and the killer music. You also have that spirit of variety that Adventure had in terms of the cyberspace levels, the fishing, the shoot-'em-up levels, the treasure hunting, and running through an open land for hours. We played and reviewed the Switch version of the game, and while the graphical fidelity definitely isn't up to the same standard as the other consoles, it does run very well and we didn't experience any major moments of lag or slowdown. Overall, it's not a bad port, but of course, if you want the full experience, we recommend the PS5 or the Xbox. Sonic Frontiers may not be the best Sonic game, but when Takashi Iizuka said that this would be the third phase of Sonic, I can believe it, and it makes me excited. I think with some small tweaks, and maybe even leaving some 2D sections in the past, this formula is destined for greatness. This game is a great first step in a hopeful new direction.